A Florida man killed and ate his pet peacocks because his neighbor fed them. Two Florida men fight over a Netflix account, and it leads to gunfire. A Florida woman is accused of stealing a motorized Publix shopping cart to drive to her medical appointment. And a Florida man is arrested after trying to pay his bail with an alligator he claimed was his. These are all the weird stories for Friday on Weird AF News. They are all from Florida, because on Friday I only do weird news from one place. That's Florida. It's Florida Friday on Weird AF News. All the quirky stories from Florida this week for your enjoyment. A Florida man is accused of killing his pet peacocks and eating them over a dispute with his neighbor. Oh, this makes all the sense in the world. You ever have an argument with your neighbor and then you go, you know what, I'll show you, and then you eat your peacocks? It's finally a proper response. Floridaman reason. This lovely story takes place in Hudson, Florida. Neighborhood disputes often cause issues in communities, as you know. One neighborhood in Hudson, Florida saw one case go a little too far. Here's the backstory. A woman alerted the county sheriff's office after opening her mailbox and finding a disturbing letter. Her neighbor Craig had some pet peacocks that roamed free in his yard, as they tend to do when you have pet peacocks. They roam all around, and if you're lucky enough to live next to someone who owns some peacocks, you get the pleasure of listening to them screech and scream. They sound like human beings dying. They also like to attack vehicles, so that's always fun to have when your neighbor's pets scratch up your new car. So already, this sounds like an amazing place to live, this little neighborhood in Hudson. Now, it turns out this neighbor who lived next to Florida man Craig, who owned the peacocks and allowed them to roam free, this neighbor would often feed the birds. That's a pretty good attitude to have, because I'll tell you right now, I'm not feeding my neighbor's peacocks for sure. If I am feeding them, it's like something laced with poison. Now, here's where the story gets very Florida. Craig threatened to kill his own birds if his neighbor kept feeding them. The letter confirmed that he had killed two of the birds already, with graphic details of how he used a knife to cut their heads off and let them bleed out to prepare them for dinner. Oh, so shocking. They're eating the birds. They're eating the pets. They're eating the peacocks. Oh, they were right. Turns out it wasn't the immigrants, though, that are eating the pets. It's Craig, the Florida man. Now, the neighbor lady turned this letter that she received over to the sheriff's office, and deputies investigated. They confronted Craig, the Florida man, with his pet peacocks. Craig said that he and his neighbor had a past history of fighting over her feeding his pet peacocks. He didn't like them to be fed by anybody but Craig. Nobody feeds my peacocks. Don't you guys know that? You feed my peacocks. I feed my peacocks. My peacocks have a very specific diet. You know, they're very persnickety. You have to feed. First of all, they don't like processed foods, nothing with a lot of sugar. I try and keep the sodium content down. And I always give them some good, healthy probiotics every morning. That's why they look so healthy and fluffy and colorful. Now, according to the investigation done by the deputies, Craig actually admitted to cutting the necks of the two peacocks. He said he did it out of spite. But you're doing it to yourself, Craig. Does Craig not realize how this works, how spite works, and how revenge works? I'm going to get you back by destroying my own property. I'm going to get you back by killing the pets that I so dearly love. Craig also confessed to authorities that he prepared the birds in a frying pan before eating them. Pan-fried pheasants? I wouldn't have chose that. I think throw them in the George Foreman grill. I think that fits for peacocks. But, you know, Florida man's not known for cooking skills. I mean, unless you're referring to meth with a side of crack rock, then they're very comfortable in the kitchen. I do wonder what a peacock tastes like. They look like they appear as though they would taste like turkey, but I'm not. Can anyone corroborate? I know people eat these things. They used to be a delicacy for the Romans, so these things have been eaten for hundreds of years. All right, well, following the tasty peacock meal, looks like Craig has been arrested. Charges of aggravated cruelty to animals with excessive pain/death. I'm very surprised at the charges here. You sent a nasty, threatening letter to your neighbor. That's like harassment. I thought he was being arrested on harassment, but no, it's for his activities against his own animals. But if these were chickens, would he have been arrested? I mean, these are basically livestock. You can call them pets, but you can also call your chickens pets. Children often do. And then they're surprised when they end up seeing their pet on their plate. But, I mean, I don't understand why you can't cook and eat your own peacocks, your own fowl. I mean, it's livestock at the end of the day. These aren't really, I mean, you can call them pets, but, like, peacocks aren't really typically pets. I mean, they can be if you're an annoying weirdo and you don't give a damn about your neighbors. You know, that's why I don't understand his reactions either, because if your neighbor's feeding your peacocks, just be grateful that one of your neighbors appreciates your peacocks and wants them around, because most neighbors aren't going to be open arms for the peacock situation. I mean, I don't even want to live next to a rooster, you know, and they only make a noise, you know, in the beginning of the day and at the end of the day. These peacocks are noisy front to back. The article also says that Craig threatened to kill all of his pet peacocks once released from jail to prevent anyone else from taking care of them. Craig, it sounds like you're suffering from something in your brain. Or he's just very protective of his cock flock. I mean, who reacts like this? People trying to take care of your property and the next person that washes my Jeep, I'm going to blow him to bits. I mean, Craig's got a lot going on upstairs that is out of the ordinary. I'm not going to try and bring reason to it. I am wondering, though, after he ate his peacocks, did he make an amazing feathery cap to wear out on a date with his cousin? 2 Florida men have been arrested after a fight over a Netflix account ended with gunfire. This story is out of Titusville. I've covered stories out of Titusville before. Do you guys remember Tittyville? Tittyville, Florida. 2 Florida men have been arrested after a fight over a Netflix account ended with blam, 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 blam. You guys heard of Netflix and chill? Well, this is Netflix and kill. It's a whole new way to spend your evening. Not for the level-headed. This is a fun game played by 2 to 4 psychopaths. Well, you know, this is what happens when Netflix limits account sharing. You know, you get people blasting each other over the use of it. We have here Travis May, age 20, Rory James III, age 19. They were taken into custody this week in connection with an incident outside a home in Titusville. Lovely Tittyville. Lovely Tittyville. All right, let's get down to the brass tacks, find out what exactly went on. Investigators say the confrontation began after Travis May changed the name on 20-year-old Juan Garcia's Netflix account. Changed it to an insult. Can't wait to hear what that was. That's when Garcia agreed to fight Travis May and Rory James III after feeling disrespected. You know, you can't feel disrespected. That's when you got to go get your guns. I feel disrespected. It's time to stand my ground. Guns make us safer, right, guys? Yeah, I've always said that. Now we have a play-by-play of how the activity went down. When the pair, Travis and Rory, showed up at Juan Garcia's home, they jumped a fence to get to him. Travis had a handgun in his waistband, which he allegedly handed to Rory during the fight. At one point, Rory was seen on video striking Juan Garcia repeatedly while holding the weapon. The fight continued after the gun was passed back to Travis. A shot was fired during the struggle, and Juan Garcia was left bleeding from the head. It's still unclear if he was struck by a bullet or injured another way. Wow, it sounds like these guys need to Netflix and chill. Calm down a bit. The deputies also noticed, this is alarming, the gun had been modified with an illegal device known as a switch, which turns it into a fully automatic weapon. Oh my, looks like you're facing some very serious charges. Okay, a lot of details in this story, but no word on what this Travis changed the account to. I'd love to know the insult. Whatever it was, it triggered Garcia. Not that it's difficult to trigger Floridaman. Now it says Travis and Rory are in custody and face charges. They're not saying which. They're also facing a new activity that I think they just invented called Netflix and Jail. A Florida woman is accused of stealing a motorized Publix shopping cart to drive herself to her appointment. The story's out of Port Charlotte. A Florida woman was arrested on Monday after being accused of stealing one of those motorized shopping carts from a Publix and driving it down Airport Road in a place called Punta Gorda. Punta Gorda! Well, I must say, I'm very impressed with Florida woman. She's got a problem, and she's trying to solve it. I'm also impressed that she got the shopping cart out of the Publix and was driving down a road. I mean, those batteries don't last very long on those carts. They can barely get around the store one time, I've noticed, without needing a recharge. So, okay, let's get the deputy side of the story. They arrived at the Publix around 10 a.m. They say they talked to the store manager, who reported to them that a lady had come to the store, stolen a motorized shopping cart, and was seen driving it south towards Airport Road. Well, yeah, I mean, how's my girl going to catch her flight if she doesn't steal a motorized shopping cart and get down Airport Road? My question is, how does she get to the Publix? Did she steal a motorized shopping cart from Walmart and take that to the Publix? That's just called the cycle of life in Florida. Now, the deputies immediately got on the case because this is a real emergency. A shopping cart from a store? Wow. All hands on deck for this one. Get the choppers out. Meanwhile, Floridaman, what's he up to? Now, the deputies eventually met up with the woman. They tracked her down. She's been identified as Robin Zick, age 42. She was at the Circle K gas station on South Tamiami Trail when they found her. She went to the gas station. She thought she could charge up her cart. No, you can't charge it up with gasoline, Florida lady. Deputies met with Robin. Like they met with her. Yeah, we met with her, She was still sitting on the cart, and she confirmed that the cart was stolen from Publix. It's valued at $2,500. That's a lot of money for those stupid carts. I think you guys are getting ripped off, Publix. Now, it also says that emergency services, medical services, arrived on the scene as well at the Circle K gas station because of a phone call that Robin made prior to the deputies arriving and speaking with her, meeting with her. Deputies questioned Florida woman Robin, who told them that she had taken the motorized shopping cart to a medical appointment that she had. She told the deputies she planned on driving the cart to her appointment and then bringing it back to the Publix. Hey, you got to respect the hustle on Robin. She's got to get to her medical appointment. We're a very car-dependent society. I don't know if you've noticed that in the U.S. And I don't know if you've noticed this, but also cars, not very cheap in the U.S. I mean, even the prices of used cars have really shot up. Not easy. And the expenses involved, the insurance rates have gone bananas recently. And in some states, the gas prices are ridiculous, like the state that I live in. And then you add to the equation the fact that my country really has a very flimsy public transportation system. Some cities have it. Big cities have a very good one. New York City, San Francisco. But even a city like L.A., where I live, the public transportation is pretty crappy. I can't imagine what it's like in Punta Gorda. And so now you have this synergistic effect where you have horrible public transportation, you have expensive personal vehicle ownership expenses, and this is what you get. You get someone who can't get to her appointment. Also, Uber prices have gone up huge. Uber and Lyft, you see what they're charging? It's just a perfect storm of no support in the U.S. for transportation whatsoever. So now you got this poor lady, Robin. She's borrowing the car. She's not trying to steal it. She says she's going to bring it back. I believe her. Poor lady. She's just out here trying to keep her appointments, keep her promises. She's trying to be a Florida woman with integrity. When she says she's showing up at 11 a.m. at the doctor's office, by golly, she's going to get there hook or crook, as they say. You see her rolling, they hating, patrolling and trying to catch me riding dirty, 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 trying to catch me riding dirty. To the doctor's office. A Florida man has been arrested after trying to pay bail with an alligator he claimed was his. Oh, do I got to respect the hustle again? I think so. Respect the hustle from this Florida man. Deputies in Central Florida say a 42-year-old Florida man sparked some chaos at the county jail after coming in without a shirt, holding a live alligator, and demanding that officers, quote, release his cousin immediately. Oh, look at this Florida man trying to spring his cousin, also known as his girlfriend, out of jail. Going about it all wrong, buddy. But I don't know. Let's see what the outcome was. Can you swap a reptile for a prisoner in Florida? I'm wondering. Witnesses told the investigators that a man showed up early at a nearby gas station trying to trade that same alligator for a six-pack of beer previously. I don't think he understands how commerce works, all right? Reptiles aren't the basis for a system of economics, sir. And again, this is a Florida man. He's like, you know what? I'm going to do commerce with the gator. I sold my teeth last week to a tweaker, so maybe this will work. Okay, so the guy shows up at a convenience store, gas station, trying to buy a six-pack of beer. When that failed, the Florida man reportedly drove straight to a jail, went through the lobby doors, and loudly introduced the wet reptile as his, quote, legal counsel. Oh, Florida man's on serious drugs. What are these drugs? I have to know. My weekend has yet to start. I could have something like this in my life. I mean, just imagine being so high that you think an animal that crawls on all fours and has a tail is legal counsel. That's a high I can only dream about. Now, when the staff asked him to leave, the Florida man allegedly slammed the alligator on the counter and shouted, "This gator passed the bar! This gator passed the bar! This gator passed the bar! This gator's great at legal questions. This gator just got hired at a Florida law firm. The gator guys, we bite for our clients." Okay, so the Florida man slams the gator, also known as his attorney, on the counter and shouts, "This gator passed the bar," before attempting to climb over the reception desk. That's when deputies wrestled him down, confiscated the reptile, and charged him with resisting arrest, unlawful possession of an alligator, and trespassing on jail property. I have a feeling this story is fake. Does anyone else have the same feeling? Let me do some further research here. All right, I can't find a damn thing. But they're also not naming the Florida man in the article, which leads me to believe that it's not quite authentic. But, you know what they say. Why let the truth or details get in the way of a good story? I mean, and the title on this one is just sick. I had to dive in. Florida man arrested after trying to pay bail with an alligator that he claimed was a lawyer. I mean, this is just unbelievable. You can't make this up. And if there was any place where this story could actually occur, I mean, it would be Florida. Am I right? I mean, Florida makes anything possible, it would seem. I mean, this is a place where the people are on big-time drugs, and they have relationships with gators. On some level, they're living with gators. And, you remember the guy that took the gator to the liquor store? Not this Florida man, but a different one. They got pet gators swimming around in their pools in the backyard. So if anyone was going to walk around with a gator and say it was his lawyer, it's a Florida man. Now let's for a moment do an exercise and imagine an alligator attorney and how that would go down. I'd imagine something like this. Order, order, order! I'm going to have to call a recess because one of the jurors has been bit by the defense counsel. Got an alligator in my backyard and nobody cares. Nobody cares. Got an alligator in my patio and nobody cares. Nobody cares. Had an alligator at my birthday party and nobody cared. Nobody cared. Had an alligator in the front seat of my Volkswagen and nobody cared, 'cause it's Florida. Alligators everywhere and nobody cares. In Florida there's alligators everywhere and nobody cares. Hi, my friends and loyal listeners of the Weird AF News podcast. Thank you so much for joining me for this episode of Florida Friday. I hope you're having a lovely weekend. I want to thank everybody that sent me Florida stories the last couple of days. Very helpful of you. Very generous with your time, trying to help out a guy in a closet, trying to put together a podcast here all alone, all on my lonesome. If you ever want to send me any stories that you think are appropriate for the podcast, the email lines are open all the time. funnyjones@gmail.com. I'm on Instagram at funnyjones as well. Tonight I have a show. I'll be headlining Tustin, California, Tustin, California. It's down in Orange County. And all the information's on my Instagram at funnyjones. If you'd like to come on by, please do. Please say hello. We can hang out at the bar afterward as well, have a cocktail, and introduce ourselves. If you'd like to support the show because you just hit your big bucks lottery, you hit the big old bucks, and or you sold your Winnebago, you got some extra cashola, got some extra ducats on you. Go to weirdafnews.com. That's what you do. And then you can buy me a coffee there, or you can join the Patreon. The Patreon, that's where it's at. That's like buying me a coffee every month. But then you get extra access. You get access to all that stuff in the Patreon. It's like a little weird club. It's pretty fabulous. Anyways, it's a great way to support the arts. Be a patron of the arts while you're still alive. Why wouldn't you do that? Don't you want to say you supported the arts? Sure you do. It's a good thing to do while you're alive. Anyways, hope you're having a great weekend. I think I already said that, so I'll just say, hey, have a nice day. I like you. You're going to win.